Don't blame me. I voted for Kodos. Uh, hey, just had to make sure you saw that. I wanted to wear this shirt like 2 days ago when it was relevant. Well, it's still technically relevant. But yeah, it's I just forgot. So anyway, welcome back to the Disney Plus Everyday Challenge. Today we have Remember the Titans with starring Denzel Washington and like a ton of other very young faces. This is from 2000. It runs an hour and 54 minutes, and yeah, I have a hard time. I'm going to start off with some of the cast here. I had a hard time realizing one of these actors was an actor that I know and love today. Uh, and his name is Ryan Hurst. You might know him as Opie from Sons of Anarchy. He was recently Beta on The Walking Dead. Big, intimidating, bearded dude. Sweet as a button as on Sons of Anarchy. Even though he was a biker, but still, he was a beloved character on that show. But he plays Gary in this. He's a white high school student in this movie. I'll explain the relevance of me calling him white in a moment. But he's a high school student in this thing with no facial hair whatsoever, and I can just barely make out his face as being the same guy that I've known from him, and also Bates Motel. Gosh, he's played such a very different character than the kid that's in this. He's one of the main characters amongst students in this film. Will Patton, Patton, yeah, Patton. Will Patton is the other coach along with Denzel Washington, and they have the unenviable task of coaching a football team that has just been integrated in only 1971 in Virginia, Northern Virginia, Alexandria, right outside of Washington, D.C. It's hard to comprehend that it is still less than 50 years ago that some schools were just getting used to the idea of being integrated. They were already working on it in the 60s. I realize 1971 isn't that much later than 1965, but still, come on, people. Um, no, I won't say it. Among the other actors in this is Donald Faison, who you would know from Scrubs, and he's done a ton of voices on Robot Chicken, and also Star Wars Resistance, the animated series. He plays Faison. He might even play. I think he plays a character named after himself, but differently spelled. Ethan Suplee is also in this. Big guy you might remember from My Name is Earl. He has slimmed down incredibly since this movie. Here, he is a massive wall of man, playing a high school kid. He might have even been a high school kid when they were making this, but he's a big guy in this thing. Not to body shame him at all, but man, way to go, Ethan! Just taking off those pounds over the years, just getting it under control. It's not an easy thing. I can tell you that much. And also, I have to say, Hayden Panettiere, she is this big in this thing, and she's all golden curls. She's like 9 or something, or 9.5, 9 3/4, according to the thing. But she still looks this big, and she might be this big now that she's like married and has kids. And okay, Hayden Panettiere, if you don't know, she was the cheerleader from Heroes, and yeah, so it's probably where you might know her best. She's done a few other things since then, but that was like her big breakout moment. Other than this, where again, I'm kind of harsh when it comes to child actors. A lot of child actors, especially that are raised up in the Disney system, tend to know how to act by saying words and pausing long enough for the laugh track to kick in and then saying another line. That's usually how it works for a lot of kids. She's not a Disney kid from what I can tell. She actually acts in this thing. She is astounding for a 9-year-old or however old she is. She's shows frustration, grief, excitement, everything through her eyes, her face, not just her movements. She's not a little girl who just goes ah whenever something weird happens, like on most of the Disney series, but she's an astounding little actress in this, and she grew up to be an astounding adult woman actress. But here, she stands out, especially amongst the kids and even some of the adults. Just she takes over any scene she jumps into. It's kind of weird for a kid when you got Denzel on the screen, and she goes toe to toe with him a little bit too, because nobody trusts the black people that have been moved into this neighborhood. The integration, yes, it's a sports movie from Disney, and it takes place during a certain era. And guess what? It's always going to have a race issue. When you're going to talk about an up and coming football team or a basketball team like we saw in Glory Road a couple days or weeks ago, it's always going to be a racial thing, because the kids that are involved in these sports in the 50s, 60s, 70s, it can't not be about race unless it's just all white kids or it's just all black kids. But guess what? When it's all black kids, it's still about race, because it's still a struggle. It's nothing you can just wish away. It's part of the story. But in this case, everybody's kind of forced together. The white don't like the black don't like the white. Parents certainly don't like each other, and the coaches and the adults don't get along. In fact, Will Patton's character Bill Yost. By the way, this is based on a true story. He's basically pushed out of his job as the coach for the T.C. Williams football team, high school football team, by Denzel's character. Why can't I say his name? Coach Herman Boone. He gets pushed out of his position and made assistant coach to Denzel. And Denzel's like, I didn't ask for this myself, but I've got a good record and I know how to coach these kids. I care about football, and I'm going to make us winners. And everybody's like, whatever. And some of them are told that no matter what he does, at some point, Coach Boone, Denzel, is going to lose the job the moment they lose a game. And that then Bill will be back in the role of head coach. And even Bill's like, really? That doesn't seem right, but, he wasn't going to fight against it. He was up for an award as one of the top coaches of the year. And of course, it was only ever white coaches. The idea of having integration amongst the awards certainly wasn't a thing if they couldn't get high school kids to play together. And the first 45 minutes of the movie or so is literally everybody first meeting each other in the first 5 minutes and then going off to camp in Pennsylvania, where I'm from. So they take a drive up to this camp and just outside of Gettysburg, and they're forced to ride the buses together, intersection of races and egos and frustrations and fear that they're going to lose their position on the team to somebody else who isn't like them. Valid fears, but still, it's all racially motivated, based on the fact that they don't know each other. And Denzel rides them hard. It's almost like he's running a military camp, and he just beats the crap out of them training-wise. And the other coaches, Yost and everybody, are just sort of like, I don't know about this. But you get to see the transformation. You get to see the kids bond, the boys bond over a period of 2 weeks. And when they come back, they're transformed. And I really don't want to tell, if you haven't seen this movie, I mean, honestly, it pretty much goes by the numbers when it comes to a movie like this. Everybody hates each other, then they get to know each other, then they realize they need each other, and they appreciate each other, and they work together, and they win. It's that kind of thing. I'm really not, it's the nuances, it's the details, it's the characters that really make this movie great. Now, I'm not a big sports nut myself, but I remember seeing this movie when it came out in theaters in 2000. And I was actually seeing it in Northern Virginia amongst a crowd of people who very much knew this story, who very much knew this team. I was a couple miles outside of Alexandria. I was seeing it in like Centerville or something with a bunch of friends, and yeah, it's that was a kind of an energized crowd. It was sort of like going to a Star Wars or a Marvel movie, and people knowing the characters, and it was kind of interesting to see it with that crowd. So yeah, it felt more powerful in a crowd like that. So yeah, there's if you like sports movies and you somehow haven't seen If You Love Football, you still haven't somehow seen this, it's time to see it. It's time to see it. It's on Disney Plus. If you have it already, Disney Plus already, it's free, technically. It won't cost you more to watch it, like Mulan. Uh, so yeah, if you get a chance, take this one in and revisit it if you haven't. Yes, it's very. It doesn't shy away from the racial issues, but it doesn't have to. It is a very clear and present danger amongst everybody, and it challenges not just the kids but the adults too, in their friendships, in their working relationships, in their neighborhood. Denzel's family gets attacked at one point, with a brick thrown through their window. Just tell them to get out of town, and all sorts of racial slurs. And this isn't make believe. This isn't exaggeration. These things happened and still continue to happen as if we didn't know. So yeah, it's something that, especially in the light of everything that's going on these days, it's time to revisit this. It's to see where that things haven't changed much or enough since this time, and it's not even been 50 years since this took place. So you do get a little recap at the end of the movie telling you where everybody ended up, and something tells me about something about that night that maybe one of the characters, people that were depicted in this movie might have been in the theater, but I don't recall. It's just, I don't know. It's just weird. It's a blurry thing in my mind. I remember the movie. And I remember where I saw it. I could drive to that place if I was in Virginia right now, to that exact theater if it still exists, and still remember the experience. So it left an impression on me, even though, again, not a big sports guy, but it's a great movie otherwise. Other names you might recognize: Kate Bosworth. A very young Ryan Gosling. He's this little scrawny thing. He's playing football, but yeah, he's Ryan Gosling's in this, looking like he's 14, and somehow playing football. What else have we got? We got Craig Kirkwood. We got Wood Harris. There's Kip Perdue, plays a California kid. Earl Poitier. Wonder who he's might be related to. Kip Perdue, by the way, he plays a California kid, long hair, and he is brought into the team, and he gets picked on for being a hippie. So everybody's looking for a reason to be crappy to each other. It's the mid-20th century. Why not? Oh wait, it's 2020, and we're still doing that. Times they do change. Not much. Anyway, let's pick tomorrow's episode. All right.
30.
30. Wow, that's a drop. 30. All right. Well, we got another documentary. We love these documentaries, apparently. There's a lot of them to go through. We've gone through so many, and there's so many more on here. And it's about animals. It's not about oceans and such, but it's and I feel like this is going to be sort of like tabloid documentary kind of thing, but it's Animal Showdown. Like the last one that was all about the top 5 American animals or something. I think this one's going to pit them against each other in popularity or ferocity or something. I don't know. Animal Showdown on the Disney Plus Everyday Challenge. Come back here for the big fight. All right. See you back here tomorrow on the Disney Plus Everyday Challenge. Bye-bye.